and you tell them one thing. Just win, baby.
It's because you're not feeling Uzi.
What is going on, Raider Nation? It's your boy Samoa Raider back at it again with another video. And as you guys know, today was joint practice with the Los Angeles Rams leading up into our week 2 matchup this weekend on Saturday. The Raiders will be practicing with the Rams today and tomorrow, but as you guys know, today was the very first practice that the Raiders had since the last game on Sunday. But before I go on talking about the joint practice today and some of the takeaways that I had, I want to talk a little bit about the weekend that I just had past weekend, man. Shout out to, Woodson Whiskey. Shout out to League of Bandits, the Black Hole. It was a whole experience. I'm actually going to drop my vlog tomorrow of everything that went over the weekend. I've been busy these past couple of days, but I hope you guys do enjoy it, man. It was a great weekend. I got to sit down, chop it up with Michael Crabtree just a little bit. Got to go and say what's up to Seawood yet again, and then I was able to go to tailgate just a little bit right before the Battle of the Mandalay Bay preseason game versus the Niners. And man, oh man, that was such a dominating game by the Raiders. Everything was just flowing, and our team just looked great out there. It's good to see that this team continue to keep their foot on the gas pedal and continue to score. We've seen this team many times before let their foot off the gas pedal, but to see the Raiders go out there and beat the Niners 34-7, which I mean, it could have easily been 34-0, but it is what it is. It's just great to see that this team could go out there, get the lead, finish the game strong, and get the W. Now, I know a lot of Niner fans and a lot of people out there are going to continue to say it's just preseason, and yes, of course it's just preseason, but you guys know if the Niners were to win, especially with all that red that was in the stadium on Sunday, we definitely wouldn't have heard the end of it. But to see the Raiders do what they did on Sunday, especially what they did in the joint practices versus the Niners, I was really excited to see what they would do today versus the LA Rams in their very first joint practice, which was today. Some quick Nation news before I get on with that. On game day, some crazy news, some sad news for me. Defensive lineman Kyle Peko was released by the team right before the game. I'm just glad that he got picked up by the Titans, and I wish nothing but the best for him. Some other devastating news: offensive tackle Brandon Parker has been placed on IR with a season-ending injury, man. This is the second year in a row that Brandon Parker is going to be going through this, man. It really does suck, because I was a big fan of Brandon Parker, not only because he was on the podcast, but just because he was a genuine guy, and he was actually looking forward to going out there and showing what he can do. He understands that it was going to be a big competition room, especially for that right tackle position, but to see him go down like this, man, is really sad. Again, I wish nothing but the best for Brandon Parker, and hopefully he could get back on the field sometime soon. Now, speaking of today's practice, we finally got to see our first round pick Tyree Wilson back at practice. Now, he didn't practice with everybody else. He was only cleared to have individual drills, which is okay, man. It just shows that we're trending in the right direction. And I know that there was a lot of Raider fans that was kind of worried about this when we put him on the injury, the PUP list right before training camp. But Josh McDaniels and the rest of the organization made it aware that, this doesn't mean that he's not going to play. He's not good to go. They just wanted to be cautious with their first round pick. But just to see him padded up out there doing individual drills, man, he already looks like a beast. I hope that can translate on the field. And I really cannot wait to see Tyree Wilson there right across from Maxx Crosby and Chandler Jones out there during the game. Because, I mean, seeing how good our defensive line looked this past game and adding Tyree Wilson to the opposite end, man, I definitely think that this defensive line is going to take that next step. Now, another guy that was at practice today that I know a lot of Raider fans were kind of worried about was Davante Adams. After that second joint practice that we had last week, he went down with an injury, but it wasn't too serious. Everybody was coming out of that practice saying it wasn't really anything serious. They're just being kind of cautious right now. So it's good to see that he's back out there at practice, lighting it up. He was still out there just shaking ankles during joint practice, so it's good to see that Davante Adams is good to go. Now, moving on, 2 units that have been killing it so far, not only during practices and during the first preseason game going into this joint practice today, have been the offensive line and the defensive line. First, let's talk about the offensive line. According to Levi Edwards, he tweeted out that the Raiders offensive line is, for lack of better words, bullying the Rams defensive line on one-on-one drills. Again, that's great to hear, especially knowing that our offensive line, even the young players that we have and the veterans we have on the roster, they look really great last week. Getting to the defensive line now, it looked like they dominated in today's practice, especially on one-on-one drills. Logan Reaver actually tweeted that the Raiders defensive line is obliterating the Rams offensive line in one-on-ones. Butler, Rochelle, and Plant all bulldozing and dominating their reps. Again, just like the offensive line, this is great to hear, and those are guys that really stood out in the game that we had against the Niners. You know, Butler, Rochelle, both of those guys had sacks. Adam Plant almost had a sack on Sunday as well. So, you know, the defense is looking faster out there. They're looking quicker. I mean, these are one-on-one drills, so it's good to see that they can win their one-on-ones. I just can't wait to see this during the regular season. It is one thing to see it in practice, especially in one-on-one drills, and then it's another thing to see it when the regular season is here. Now, a guy that definitely wanted to set that tone was none other than Maxx Crosby. You know, being the leader that he is on the defensive side of the ball, according to Sean Reed, Max felt like the Raiders were lacking energy in their joint practice with the Rams today, so he gave them a jolt. And that jolt is what led to the scuffle that they had today. During 11-on-11s, Raiders defensive end Maxx Crosby chased down Cam Akers on a run play and tried to punch the ball loose. The play was basically dead, so Akers took offense and punches were thrown. Both sides got involved and eventually got broken up. Akers got kicked out of practice, assuming since he bumped Crosby first after he tried to knock the ball loose. Crosby is still on the sideline, but was held out of the rest of the drills. So again, Maxx Crosby being the guy that he is, setting the tone out there. You know he ain't gonna back down from anybody. You guys seen that quarterback Netflix special? And Maxx Crosby wasn't afraid to back down from Patrick Mahomes, and I know he's doing the same thing over here with the Rams. And after practice, Max wasn't afraid to talk about this.
No shit, I just doing what I do. He didn't like that, so he got what he got. It is what it is. Every single day it's you got an opportunity to get better. There's no staying the same. So you get better, you get worse. So for me, I try to bring that juice. I bring that juice every single day, and I want my teammates to feel that. And shit, if I got to go out there and take matters in my own hands, I could do it in different ways. So that's what I try to do. No matter what, I try to be the light, try to be the example in every single way I can.
Again, I love what I see from Maxx Crosby. Now, we didn't really get no videos about any altercations out there, but shout out to my guy Harry Ruiz. He posted some pictures of the fight, and man, it's crazy to see that not only was Maxx Crosby trying to go one-on-one with Cam Akers, but to see a plethora of Rams players trying to come in, jump in, and get on Maxx Crosby, and there was no other Raiders to be seen. It's crazy. Yeah, I mean, it just shows that Max is just a lone wolf out there. I don't know where the rest of these guys were at, but it's good to see that Max is able to hold down his own, if anything. Now, another thing I was interested in watching today was how Jimmy G was going to look against the Rams. Now, we all know how he looked last week. He was killing it out there, but I wanted to see if he could keep that same energy going into today's practice and even tomorrow's practice. And we didn't really hear too much about the offense or Jimmy G. I mean, he looked solid for the most part, I guess, but one thing that really stood out was this deep ball touchdown that he had to Philip Dorsett. I seen this tweet saying Dorsett having a good day. Jimmy just hit him deep for a 70-yard touchdown. Now, I know that there's a lot of fans that believe that Jimmy G doesn't know what a deep ball is, but to see that he's doing it in practice on a big play like that, it's something that you definitely want to hear. Now, I know that there's other Raider fans out there on Twitter wondering if it was a screenplay, or a 1 yard pass for a 69 yards after catch. I don't know that whole thing, but I mean, say what you will. Jimmy G is still looking good, I guess, in practice, and I know we're talking about practice, but again, that's where it all starts. You build that confidence in practice, and you take that same energy during games. So with that said, this is not really a long video. I've been slammed these past couple of days. Again, I'm gonna try to get the content out as much as I can, and the vlog will be dropping tomorrow morning, and obviously I'll do my training camp analysis tomorrow night. But with that being said, Raider Nation, if you guys haven't subscribed to the channel already, man, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification icon button just to notify you guys when I upload more videos just like this. Until the next one, Raider Nation, this is your boy some more Raider, and your boys, yeah.